All right, good afternoon, everybody. Apologies. We are just kind of a mess today, unfortunately. In more ways than one. I need a haircut, clearly. Um, you are not crazy. I did say that this live stream would begin at 3 p.m. and it is 2 p.m. Central. It's just been it's been a really weird day, to be honest. I woke up at three o'clock this morning. Got knocked out a couple hours of work. Had something private thing to take care of in the morning. And I'm actually just sliding in from a drive back from Peoria. Um, so if you don't know where Peoria is at in context to where I live here in Bloomington, it's a 45-minute drive away. And the reason I'm just sliding in from Peoria here, and then I also just noticed the LinkedIn live stream is not working for some reason. So usually I like to stream between both YouTube and LinkedIn. For some reason, the LinkedIn stream is not working today. It could be because I changed the time, so that could be my fault. So don't know what's going on there, but at least YouTube is working for us. So the reason I'm driving back from Peoria is last week I had two of my wisdom teeth removed, two on the left side of my face. So I had to go and get a follow-up. And so part of the reason I originally scheduled this live stream for 3 p.m. is so that appointment was at 1 p.m., so that was 1 hour ago. And you never know how long it is with doctor's offices. You all know that. You go in, you hope you're in and out, but you never know. So I walk in at 12:55 p.m. And I'm out of there at 12:56 p.m. like that's how fast it was. Like literally, I go in the back, and the doctor is a super nice guy, and he just basically peeks in my mouth to see how things are healing up. He's like, "Yep, looks good. You can go." So I drove all the way to Peoria and back for the doctor to just basically look at my mouth for like 30 seconds. I went to McDonald's to get this Coke, Diet Coke, right afterwards, and I was literally in that drive-through line longer than I was in the doctor's office. So I guess that's kind of nice. But also my wife has an appointment here at 3 p.m. She had a shift in her own schedule and asked if I could push up my own live stream so I could take care of her kids. Which is fine because today's kind of a weird live stream anyway. There's no coding today. I kind of alluded to that anyway, and we'll talk about why that is and what's going on and whatever. So a lot of weird things. So this is a very unconventional stream. So you might be wondering, why am I doing a stream at all in the first place? So, because I'm infrequent with these streams in the sense that I have no problems taking breaks. I was actually just watching a popular YouTuber I like to watch that does Nintendo videos, and he announced that he's taking a break. And I can only imagine what it'd be like to actually be committed to have to do this thing. This is something that I just enjoy doing, and I don't do it all the time just because I don't have the time. This is not my full-time job. I got family and stuff, and so. But I enjoy doing it, but I could never imagine being really having to commit to it. But the reason I wanted to part of the reason I wanted to commit to today, aside from the fact that it's just been a couple weeks since I've done one, is I was listening to Dilbert cartoonist Scott Adams, and also he's written a couple of books that are around persuasion, and then I don't know if he would call himself the business domain, but I mean he offers a lot of great business advice. One time he gave this piece of advice of, it's good to build the skill of being ready to speak whenever, at the drop of a hat, basically. And basically what he was getting at there was, so this is the analogy I was thinking on my drive back from Peoria. Imagine you're Tim Cook. So Tim Cook, CEO of Apple. If you're not aware, Apple is making great strides right now to build some factories here in the United States to build their own Apple Silicon chips. And so, let's say I'm Tim, I almost said Tim Apple, like people do that, so many times, but, so Tim Cook, let's say he walks into the factory and, the head of the factory says, all of our people are on the floor here. They heard you came in. They'd really love an inspirational speech from you. Is Tim Cook going to say no to giving an inspirational speech? No, but of course he's going to do it. But he's got to be ready to do it. And most people are not ready to speak on that in that sort of capacity. So that's the skill that I'm trying to build here. So I've mentioned this before. Part of the streams here that I do, are for you, but they're also for me. So this is a stream for me to help build the skill of being just ready to talk about whatever. So this is, very, very unprepared. Like I have a couple ideas of things I want to talk about, but by and large, I'm sliding into this basically with nothing. Like I said, it's been a very weird day today. If I'm being completely honest, my mind's not really here because it's been such a weird day. But yeah, let's talk. Let's stop talking about me and let's talk. Well, I guess we're going to continue to talk about me, but let's talk about me more in the context of machine learning and artificial intelligence (ML). So let's give a recap of our projects and let's talk about what we're going to be doing in 2023. And to be clear, I'm not committed to anything necessarily. But I just want to talk about the things that, are going on right now. So let me go ahead and share my screen because I want to share my GitHub. Where is my screen at? So, that is definitely not my screen. That's the rest of my office. Actually, so this is my, I accidentally clicked the wrong thing. This is my demo station thing. So this is a different webcam that faces down. And so this is where, for the parking lot project, that this is the camera I use. I don't know how many times I've done that this week now where I'm glad that my office is clean right now because that would be really embarrassing if my office was not clean. So there you go. You get a different view of my office, and then you also get the back of my head. And very clearly, I need a haircut, bad. I've got one scheduled next Wednesday. I'm getting a haircut. But anyways, that is not my screen. All right, so let's come back to our projects here. So we have 3 projects that are work in flight, and I will officially announce that one of them is canceled. and we'll get to that here in a second. And I'll share why it's canceled. So all right, so here's our first one. So computer vision, rock, paper, scissors. This one is not canceled. So this is just one that I'm struggling with big time. And actually, let me be honest and take a step back a bit. Part of the reason that I've not really made much progress on some of the 2 work and flight projects is I've I've struggled with motivation, to be, completely honest. And part of it is just the times that we're going through right now. So by and large, personally speaking, I'm doing good. Job is doing good. Family is doing pretty good for the most part. But reading all the time, so I actually just tweeted this an hour ago. I don't think I've seen the sun in 3 weeks. Seriously, it's been overcast here, and there is something to that. There's something like that. It's just really demotivating when there is no sunshine. Also, what else was I going to say? All the layoffs that are going on right now. It feels like every single day we're hearing a new company saying, we're getting laid off, or, and even though it's not directly affecting me, it stinks because it hurts. It hurts to see other people hurting. The whole empathy thing there is, and that's not a fake empathy. I really do feel bad for all these people, and it does weigh on. It's there's I'm kind of into this idea of there's a collective consciousness, and I think the whole collective conscious, maybe just the United States, or maybe it is just the circle that I'm in right now. But things are, things for people right now are not really going well. And, that whole thing has contributed to this whole, I'm not really motivated. Now, at the same time, I am motivated in a different direction. So actually, I'm kind of, again, all over the place here. So let me take a step back from coding. So I am not, I'm not doing any learning. I'm just focusing my learning right now in a different direction. So instead of focusing on pure machine learning or pure coding, I'm actually focused more on math right now. And specifically, I'm focused on going through courses on Khan Academy. And so I actually took this conscious approach about 6 months ago of saying, you know what, this is going to sound crazy, but I just need to throw out everything. I need to cast aside all my presuppositions, and we're going to go back to Algebra 1. That might sound kind of nuts to you. Well, it probably sounds nuts to you, the fact that I'm studying math just for studying math's sake. But that's what I did. So I went back to Algebra 1, and I'm now closing in on the end of Algebra 2, and I'm about to make my way back into trigonometry. But this time I'm really grasping the concepts in a much different capacity than I did, back in high school, or even back 2 or 3 years ago when I tried to learn math. Whenever I was first trying to do machine learning, I'm really grasping the concept. So I'm really happy with my progress in this domain. it just doesn't translate into anything that necessarily manifests. Although, so you tell me though. I don't know if anybody's watching right now because I don't really monitor who's watching. If you want to see anything in these streams related to math, I'll do it. You just got to tell me. I just don't think that y'all are interested in that sort of thing. But, I did want to point out back here, I've got this book behind me. I actually went to the bookstore with my girls 2 or 3 weeks ago. And, one thing I am doing to motivate myself is by consuming media, whether it be books like this or YouTube videos or documentaries or whatnot, to get me excited about math. So I'm pretty excited about math at the moment. And so I just wanted to bring up like a shout out to this book. I had never heard of this book before. I was actually just at the local Barnes and Noble and was browsing the math section and happened to come across it. I think I've mentioned this before, obviously, that before I got into the machine learning domain, that I really wanted to do graphic design. And so I still really have a fondness for graphic design. So when I open this book, and let me just show you this book, it's a beautifully crafted book. And what this book is really just, it's a high level, just a general like history of math, basically. Like, but it's very well done. Like, it's very well presented. And I'm not super far into the book. You can kind of see my bookmark there. Can you? Yeah, you can see my bookmark. Well, actually, let me show you my bookmark because I love my bookmark. So this is my bookmark. My daughter's name is Emma. She did this for me. So I love this bookmark. But yeah, so this has been a great book. And that's really what I've been focused on. So I've actually decided to dedicate that this year, 2023, will be the year that I'm like I feel personally good about my own math skills. I don't feel really good about my own math skills. Like, I know enough. Obviously, I know enough for the machine learning domain. Like, I know the basic statistics stuff. I know means. I know F1 scores. I know precision. I know recall. But I really want to get to that point where like I am like, kind of a math whiz, if you will. I've never gotten to that point, but it's kind of weird. I actually excelled in math in high school without trying, to an extent. Like, I did really well, but I didn't try at all. And I always now I'm wondering, like, if I really would have applied myself, could I have done really well? Like, so for example, like, I actually never took the ACT or the SAT. It was actually the ACT that was mandated back when I was in high school. The ACT, I believe, is on a 36-point scale. I got a 35 out of 36 on the math part of the ACT without trying. Like, I didn't study at all. So apparently this just comes natural to me. And I find it really, like, genuinely interesting. And there is a reason to this, like, with this more advanced math stuff, and we'll talk a little bit more about how this pertains to machine learning here in a bit. But that math is the foundation of machine learning. It's just that we don't necessarily deal with, or what am I trying to say here? We don't necessarily, deal with it as much on a more practical level, just because it is abstracted away behind things. So, the machine learning algorithms that we use, the random forest classifiers, the logistic regressions, the, things that are served out of the scikit-learn library or the XGBoost library or whatever. Those are all abstracted away. All we have to do is call these special functions, and we don't really need to know what the math is behind those. But I would like to, because I would love, I don't know what my future is, to be completely honest. I'm 33. I got a long future ahead of me. I'm really happy with my employer. So I have no plans to leave my employer, of course. But I don't know what, I don't know what, like when I think about myself in 20 years, I don't know where I'm going to be. But I do see, but something about math keeps calling back to me. I don't know why. Maybe I'll be, helping to create ChatGPT 7. Or not ChatGPT 7, GPT 7. But, who knows? Or maybe I'll, I don't know. We'll see. But I feel really drawn to math for some reason. And I feel, I've felt drawn to things at times in my life I can't explain. And they've all panned out really well. So I'm going with my gut on this one. So yeah, that's the math domain. So back to coding. All right, just doing a time check here. All right, so this is our project here. So the struggle I'm having here is my freaking Apple Silicon Mac. the Apple. So if you're not aware, when Apple rolled out these recent iterations of the Macs, and these are beautiful pieces of hardware. I love the screen on the Mac. I love the keyboard. But then they changed the chip on the inside, and while it does have excellent performance, they changed the chip architecture, and the chip architecture is not compatible. Still to this day, we're like 2 years in, it's not compatible with a lot of stuff. And one of the most frustrating things right now it's not compatible with is TensorFlow. And, so there have been, I have spent 3 different times, 3 different periods where I sat down for 4 hours each and I tried getting TensorFlow working because I think you can get it working. Well, I have gotten it working. And then I would wipe it all out, because I would do it as part of a virtual environment because I wanted to be able to see if I could replicate the steps, and then I wouldn't be able to replicate it. It's just been an extremely frustrating process. And so this computer vision rock paper scissors project here, what we're gonna do is object detection, and specifically TensorFlow has this object detection API, and I was following this YouTuber who actually created like a whole 5-hour tutorial on this, and he even admits himself I created this tutorial like a year and a half ago, and it's unfortunately outdated. And I've even reached out to him directly, have you, because I know that he's on an Apple Silicon Mac now, and he's like, I'm struggling too. So we're all struggling through this. It astounds me. And I don't know why that is. So I'm not giving up on this. I just need to figure out what is the path forward, because I've considered doing, because the problem I'm having right now is I can't train the model on my local machine. I've considered using Google Colab, but the problem with that is then I would have to run it in Google Colab too, and I would love to. I mean, ideally, so I don't remember if we've ever talked about this, but I'm also doing a course on how to learn just simple iOS development. Ideally, I think it'd be awesome to have this rock paper scissors thing where you are playing the phone yourself, where you're holding up your phone and then you hold up the rock or scissors or the rock or the paper, and then it would do it from your phone. So I need to get it working on my machine and then also on my iPhone then too. And so if I'm doing everything in Google Colab, well then I'm defeating the purpose of what I'm trying to do. So I'm not giving up on this, but this is proving to be a bear. So that is project number 1, not canceled, but I am struggling through it. And you can even see I'm well, I guess this is Label Studio, but I was I think I made notes on my local computer on what I was struggling through. But you could see I have combed through stacks on stacks of GitHub issues and stuff. And in fact, now I'm wondering, because I've never actually tried ChatGPT for debugging, but a lot of developers, machine learning developers out there are seeing a lot of good success using ChatGPT in that domain. So I might try that out now that I think about it. But I'm not giving up on this one. So this one, I'm not giving up on. All right, so let's go back. All right, so Twitter hashtag the NLP. This is the one I'm giving up on. And there are two big reasons I'm giving up on this one, unfortunately. The first one is so when we started this project back in, I think, September or August of last year, and I kicked it off with a stream that was using the Twitter API that was, but the Twitter API was limited in how you could, in what tweets you could get. So, as a reminder, it was using what is called these cache tags, and a cache tag is basically a hashtag but with a $sign, and the $sign represents a stock symbol. So Tesla's is TSLA, Apple's is AAPL, and so on. And unfortunately, the API was limited to only giving you streaming real-time tweets. And you even saw in the stream, some of you might recall, that it was not giving, the tweets that I was receiving back for this real-time stream were all spammy bot tweets. They were not good tweets. So that was problem number 1. Problem number 2 is, and this is not really, so I got to be careful because it's going to sound like I'm being critical of Twitter here, but I'm not necessarily. Problem number 2 is that Elon took over. And then so Elon's, he's going through his own priority of list. And this is not a problem per se, but it's a problem at the moment just because he's got his own priorities of things. And to be clear, I'm a big, if you follow me on Twitter, I'm a big Twitter user. So I have no issues with Twitter itself, but because he's focusing his efforts on, these different things, the API is not getting much love right now. And so until the API gets more love, I can't really proceed forward with this project. And then the other thing is this, like, I don't even know if this whole thing is cleaned up eventually. I don't even know if this is going to be a good project, because like I was looking at the quality of the tweets and stuff, and they were just terrible. And so that is obviously no fault of Twitter or Elon or anybody. So I'm just gonna have to give up on this one. It's unfortunate. I'm not going to delete this repo because I did, obviously we did the source code stuff to get the Stream API working. So you can see here that I got the Stream API. This is what we did in that one stream. So I'm not deleting this repo. I'll keep it out there. And who knows, maybe I will return to it. I'm not committing to that though. As of today, you can officially consider this one canceled, and unless I say otherwise, it is canceled. Okay, so I'm giving up on that one. So it pains me to do that, but I guess I got to. And then number 3 is our where is that? It's our parking lot one. So this one is actually greenlit, and it's actually pretty close to being done. That might shock you because we've not really done much to this, but the hardest part was, just capturing this parking lot here. I guess I did it as part of this notebook in here. And so this one is mostly, honestly, just me being lazy. There is one technical hiccup, and this is going to sound weird. It's not actually a technical hiccup with, the machine learning pieces itself. It's actually a technical hiccup with how to stream this thing. And so, the reason that there's a technical hiccup is, so let me come back let's look at this, because I did start a generic webcam here. Okay, so you can see here lines 4 and 6 that we started webcam from CV2 video capture, and you can see that I'm just providing this 0 integer value here. So this is the problem I'm having. In terms of knowing how to stream this. So let me go back to actually my demo station view here. So the same view that you were looking at before. So I've got one webcam over here that I'm waving my hand at, hello. And then I got one webcam over here that I'm using, and OpenCV doesn't know which is the correct webcam to use, and I have no way of specifying it. Sometimes this 0 value that I'm specifying uses this one, sometimes it uses that one, and then sometimes when it uses this one, it really jacks this one up. Like, it then blows up my face really big, and it gets all weird and stuff. And so I think I can work through it, and I think it's just going to be not a pretty stream. But so that's the only technical hang up. Aside from, trying to figure out how to get the, the streaming stuff working, I can complete this one for sure. So this one we will complete to fruition. It'll probably be the next one I pick back up on. Again, I've just kind of been a little bit lazy about this because I've been mostly unmotivated. So that's our 3 projects in flight. So that is, what we are going to continue with. And so let's talk about, the future as well. To be completely honest, the most difficult thing with these live streams is actually not the technical element, it's the creative element. And the creative element in terms of, we've done the movie ratings model. We have done, these computer vision efforts. It's really difficult for me to think of a project to do where I know I'm going to have readily accessible data, or not even just readily accessible data, but data that I can use. So I have to be very careful. So I actually just posted this on LinkedIn the other day. You might recall, or maybe you don't recall this, but when we were working through that movie ratings model project, which is now complete, I did a web scraping element to that. And then when I went to turn that stream into a blog form, and then I submitted it for the publication toward Data Science, they very respectfully and kindly declined. And they explained why, and they said, here's some information on why we don't publish these things, and it's because web scraping is a gray area in terms of legality. And it never occurred to me that was the case, but it makes sense if you think about it. It both makes sense, and then it's also kind of confusing at the same time, because what I was trying to do is I was trying to scrape the Rotten Tomatoes website for some review scores, but and so you might be thinking, well, anybody can go and look at Rotten Tomatoes, but at the end of the day, it's their data, and they're not giving me permission to use their data in that capacity. So I did have, we had to figure out all workarounds through APIs, and so I guess coming back to that, whenever you think about using people's data, like, it's very difficult to know what to do. So I'm struggling to know to be completely transparent, I am struggling to know what the next projects are going to be. I do have one project in mind, and that is because I do want to do one on time series forecasting. And it's not very original, but I'm thinking, what if I can create a predictor of weather? Because I've used that example so many times, and it would be something that I could do, because I know that there's weather APIs out there, and I could even do it for my local area, and it would work. I just don't know if that would get people excited, because I want to do projects that get people excited. So that is one that I may actually still do. But beyond that, actually, let me look, because I got hold on the side of my desk here. I got like this whiteboard. It's not a literal whiteboard. It's actually like a silvery board. I'll show you right here. This is where I keep my projects at. So yeah. Well, you can see. So I actually excuse me. I have the live stream ideas, and then my math course is on the bottom here. So I guess I can cross off number 1, and then number 2 and number 3 there. So I forgot about Wordle. I guess we could go back to Wordle, but Wordle's not really a machine learning thing. And then the last 3 there are not really projects. Those are more like one-offs. So I could do those still if you want. I kind of forgot this was there, to be honest. But I don't have anything else on this list. And I don't. So that brings me to considering a totally different thing, and that is Kaggle competitions. So I have personally, never participated in a Kaggle competition. And I'm not saying that, I would ever expect to win necessarily. I am maybe because, my day job is deploying models, not creating models on behalf. So I deploy models on behalf of my data scientists. So creating models is not necessarily my strong suit. And that's part of the reason I started this whole stream in the first place, is because I want to get better at that. But the reason I'm considering Kaggle competitions is, the data's there. And the data's there. And the idea is there, I guess. But also, I've been spending a lot more time on like tech Twitter, as I'm referring to it, but following different technical people on Twitter, and they have I don't want to say that these people are necessarily bashing people that don't participate in Kaggle, but it feels kind of like that at times. Like if you're not participating on Kaggle competitions, that they aren't really that they don't really care for you. So that is one thing I am seriously considering. So and who knows? Maybe between now and then I'll figure out another project, because if you've noticed a theme to the projects that I've done so far is I'm trying to pick ones out for different domains. So actually when I think about it, so the movie ratings model was like a straight supervised model, like a straight supervised binary classification and regression model. Boom. The computer vision, the parking lot detector is using OpenCV. And it'll use it. Fast forwarding a little bit, it's going to use a hard cascade classifier to do some detection. And then the rocket paper scissors one is a more advanced object detection computer vision. The Twitter hashtag one was going to be an NLP one. The aforementioned weather one was going to be a time series forecasting. I would love to do one that is collaborative filtering. So if you don't know what collaborative filtering is, it's this idea of, think about, Netflix, for example. Netflix, they're trying to figure out what you want to watch. And so, one of the ideas might be let's compare what, Joe Schmo's watching to what I'm watching, and maybe you'll see some similarities, and maybe we can recommend something that way. The problem is that, with the collaborative filtering idea is I don't have the data to do something like that, and I can't even remotely think of how to get data to do something like that. So maybe there's a Kaggle competition out there that supports something like that. So, I've been trying to pick I've been trying not to overlap and do another, the movie ratings model was great, but I don't want to do another, straight basic supervised model. Like, it would be great to do a clustering model, like an unsupervised learning model, but I can't think of a project to do that. I've just been, the first year I've done this, I got pretty lucky with some of the projects that I did. The movie ratings model, I had to curate my own data for that one. And then, this parking lot project, was pretty simple. And then, it's just a matter of, getting the data to do these things is difficult. Okay, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll come up with something though. I mean, if we have to go Kaggle, I'm not like mad that I have to go that route. If anything, it's actually probably a good thing because, like I said, it's almost like I'm missing out on the credibility element, the fact that I've never participated in a Kaggle competition. So, and it is what it is. So, so let's talk about, just AI ML in general, because that is another topic that I mentioned that I would discuss. Let me take a quick sip of my drink here. So where's AI ML in general going this year? So let's recap the end of last year really quick. So, or I guess 2022 really quick. So the two biggest stories, in my opinion, both came from the same company. It was OpenAI. It was DALL-E with their Stable Diffusion. So Stable Diffusion being, the concept of, being able to create these really cool images from text. So, typing, cat riding a pony on the moon or something crazy like that, and it would generate this image for you. So DALL-E being that. And then we had some DALL-E clones after that. And then toward the end of the year, we had ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is still really, really popular. And Chat, even just 2 days ago, or was it yesterday? Microsoft announced they were doing this big investment into ChatGPT. And so what are we going to see this year? So to be completely honest, I don't think we're going to see much. We will see a lot in terms of like the tech, change, like shifting, but it's taken a while to actually get the applicability out. So let's talk about back to DALL-E then. So DALL-E, it was cool, and we saw YouTubers making videos about it and stuff, but we didn't really see any applications of it until more recently with like the Lensa app. But then we started to see some backlash with the Lensa app, because then people started wondering, well, where is Lensa getting the data to be able to know how to create these artistic pieces? Because then people would be able to look at like the backgrounds of these pieces and see like almost like a smudge signature, if you will. And so in terms of applicability, I don't know if we'll see much. At a general consumer level. Now, obviously, there are tech people out there, tech Twitter, if you will. Again, they're raving over ChatGPT right now. They're loving it for their coding work and stuff. But ChatGPT right now, I'm sure that there are probably students out there that are probably using it to cheat on their homework or whatever. But I don't know. But like with this investment like that Microsoft made, I'm sure that they will want to bake that into Bing, and I'm sure that they'll want to bake that in the Microsoft Office. Will we see that this year? I don't know. Maybe toward the end of the year, maybe. But you have to consider, that's I do think it will get integrated. I just don't know if it'll be this year. Can Microsoft turn that ship around really quick with that? Maybe. I don't know. And then so obviously, like what else is on the horizon for just tech in general? Well, we know for sure that OpenAI has already said ChatGPT, or not. I'm sorry, I keep saying ChatGPT when I refer to GPT. So GPT-4 is coming, and it's going to have something like a trillion parameters, or is it a billion parameters? I don't know. It's something crazy big, and so it's obviously going to be really good. But the question I think is how much better are we going to notice it? Like, compared to ChatGPT. And so, this is going to be a weird analogy, but I was just actually, on the drive back from Peoria, I was listening to the Lex Friedman podcast with Mr. Beast, and he was talking about his own videos, and he was talking, and, Lex asked him, is there a certain dollar amount that when you start to hit a certain dollar amount that, that people really just don't care, because he gives away all this money. And so he was talking about once you hit $100,000, then people, it's not like you get a lot more views after that. Like, it's not like you get a lot more views if you do $1 million or $10 million. It's so he's like, yeah. So you do notice a big difference between that $10,000 and $100,000, but you don't really notice that big of a difference of $100,000 to $1 million. And so I that might be a weird analogy, but it makes me wonder: are we really going to notice that big of a difference with GPT-4? I don't know. I personally don't think so. I think it'll be better. I think the hardcore techies will notice for sure. The average consumer, I think they're gonna be like, oh, well, ChatGPT did just about as good of a job. And it's still, I don't want to, I don't want to downplay the value of these things. Like, obviously, let's use another weird analogy: video games. When if you look back right now at like the PlayStation 1 and you compare that to the PlayStation 2 or the Nintendo 64 compared to the GameCube, they don't, the GameCube looks better, the PlayStation 2 looks better, but it's not worlds better. But then when you start to compare the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 5, well, like it blows it out of the water. But you couldn't get to the PlayStation 5 without the PlayStation 2. You couldn't get to the Nintendo Switch without the GameCube. And likewise, we're not going to get to ChatGPT, or I keep doing it. We're not going to get to GPT-7 without GPT-4. So yes, we will see tangible improvements over time. I just don't know if GPT-4 in particular will be, noticeably drastic for the average consumer. So that's just a prediction. I actually don't know. And again, it's not at all trying to downplay the value of it. I'm still super impressed. Obviously, I think one of the things we will also see is clones of open source clones of GPT. They might not be as good, but they will be open source. I mean, obviously, we saw, just within a few months, we saw clones of DALL-E. There could be something in the works from OpenAI that they're not even talking about at all right now. And it's interesting, like how, the two biggest stories of last year both came out of OpenAI. But I just don't know in with the whole AI machine learning industry in general, are we really going to see huge consumer-based improvements in 2023? I don't think so. I mean, maybe. The biggest improvement, the thing that I think personally will be like the biggest thing, could be the biggest story this year, is if Microsoft is able to successfully integrate GPT into Bing. That would be huge, because then, we're talking Bing is kind of written off right now. Like, everybody uses Google for search, but if they can use this technology behind Bing, that could flip the script. I mean, I'm not saying that Google's going to die. Obviously Google's probably working on their own thing. Google's probably, that's the thing with the free market is, when somebody comes up with something, they're going to copy it. We see this with the smartphone market all the time. Apple comes up with a new feature, and then Samsung's going to come up, copy it, and vice versa. Samsung comes up with a new feature, and then Apple copies it. And so we're going to keep seeing this. And so it makes me wonder, is Bing going to become a legitimate competitor this year? And then the same, Microsoft Office is already, prevalent as is. Like, yeah, it'll be great to have GPT inside of Microsoft Office, but, the only competitor to Microsoft Office, well, the two competitors are, the Google open source products like the Sheets and whatever, and then the Apple, like Numbers and what is the word processing program, Pages, and Keynote, Microsoft is already still far and away with Microsoft Office, but they could really make some strides here in the search engine space. So I'm trying to think of what else. I can't, I've been thinking about it. I don't really see. From the average consumer perspective, I just don't know of anything else. Like, we're laying the foundation for the future right now. Like, so because it might sound like I'm downplaying the value of what's going to happen this year. What's going to happen this year with like things like GPT-4, it's going to pave the way for like lots of really cool things like 5 to 10 years from now, or even maybe 2 or 3 years from now, from a consumer perspective. So when I think about, I do think I don't know if Facebook will be the one or Meta necessarily to be the one to do this, but the metaverse I think will become a thing. And I don't know if it'll be, the Ready Player One thing that everybody wants it to be. But the technology that we are building this year, or I'm talking about like OpenAI and these other companies, the technology that we're building this year will be the foundation for that. It'll be great. So like, there is going to be some really great work, but at the same time, you also have to contend with the whole just economy in general. Like I mentioned at the top of the stream, we are seeing all these layoffs and stuff right now. And then the other thing, and I tweeted about this the other day, is the thing that we're not talking about is how many companies are quietly dealing with legacy issues from using old technology. And so I don't know. I think that's going to hinder progress some. And then that's the other reason I don't think that consumers are necessarily going to see that. So like the whole airline debacle, for example, they're all, if we're still on mainframe technology, like we got to get out that technology in order to be able to get to the new stuff. And maybe it's possible that AI will help us get there for sure. I don't see that happening in 2023, especially, we're starting off the year off on a bad foot in terms of pure motivation. Obviously there are individuals that are always going to be motivated. But when society gets hit like this, most people, and I even said to myself, I am not motivated to want to do anything right now. And then there's also just this open question is, when is enough enough? Like, like when can we just let, bygones be bygones and just chill for a minute and be happy with what we have? Like, it's easy to say that, but then like, if we could peer into the future, like 50 years from now, like, are we going to be mad that we didn't have like whatever, okay, so let's do it in reverse. So 50 years ago, that would have been what, 1970? Would we have been mad that like if we would have said, well, let's chill out, and then we peer to now, like, oh, look at that iPhone over there, like that's pretty dang cool. Like so I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, of course. But yeah, so that is as far as the average data scientist and stuff goes, I think it's just going to be business as usual for the most part. Like I mentioned, there are a few like rock stars that are using ChatGPT to augment their own modeling processes. So that's the other interesting thing is, at least as of today, all of the rock stars, and when I mean rock stars, I mean people that really know the math of these algorithms, like Kaggle grandmasters, people that build models on models on models on models. Everybody's in agreement that even ChatGPT, for as good as it is not going to replace things like feature engineering yet. Like, it's getting better, and I actually do think we will get to the point in the future where AI will be able to do things like sufficient feature engineering, but that's not this year. It might be, so again, ChatGPT is augmenting these people's processes, but it's not replacing them. And so it was actually Santiago, I can't remember his last name. I think he's like SVPINO on Twitter. Great follow on Twitter. He had a tweet the other day that said, like, AI is not going to replace you. The guy using AI is going to replace you. And he's being hyperbolic. Like, I don't think that, one guy using ChatGPT is not going to replace an army of people. But his whole point is that, like, AI, at least as it stands today, is not in this place that it's going to replace you. So, I guess let's talk about low-code tools really quick. Because the other question is as well, can ChatGPT effectively replace low-code, or like serve as a low-code tool, or ChatGPT clones, anything like that, or GPT clones in general? And I don't think so. And I wrote a blog post about this, 2 or 3 weeks ago using ChatGPT. I tried getting ChatGPT to, build me some code to run on AWS SageMaker to build an image classifier, and then it ended up not working out. And the other interesting thing I noted as part of that blog post is I knew it didn't work out the second that I started to see the prompt outputs. And I just noticed right away it looked really close, but I just knew right away that the code wouldn't work, and that was because of my subject matter expertise. Like, and so that's the thing is, like, so key in Joe Schmo, walk up to a computer, say, build me an image classifier today. ChatGPT is going to give you something back, but it might give you back some baloney. But how are you going to know it's baloney? The only way you know it's baloney is if you have the subject matter expertise. And so maybe in the future, again, I don't want to downplay, the future. You never know. Like, so in the future, maybe that is true. Maybe that is true, where you could type something out and yeah, for sure. And that's that whole prompt engineer thing. And I have no idea if that prompt engineer, if you've not heard of what the prompt engineer thing is this idea of, these people who are like very skilled at using these tools like GPT or Chat GPT or even DALL-E to be able to produce legitimate results. But the only so that there are very few of those right now. But those people right now, they all have data science experience. Like they all are I don't know, what do you want to call them, but they do have the experience, so they know the baloney. They know how to filter that out. So even if they have that title, I don't know if, I think eventually we'll get to the point where the average Joe can just walk up to the computer and spit that out. But I don't. So if that's, I guess my other final speculation is I don't think that prompt engineer is going to be a regular ask for titles this year for two reasons. Number one is it's too early, and it's still just too early. Like I don't I've seen one prominent Twitter user get hired, and he was hired by one of these specialized AI companies that really knows what they're doing, and the CEO really knows what they're doing. But if you just have the regular Fortune 500 company decide to hire